Hello, my name is Clorinda. Welcome to my channel. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how you can use HubSpot to qualify leads through automation and lead scoring. So this video would be perfect if you are working in a B2B environment. Maybe you're HubSpot admin, maybe you're in marketing operations, or if you're just wanting to learn about HubSpot, or if you are a one-man show and just want to figure out how to score leads. This video is for you. So let's get straight into it. So lead qualification is a way for you to identify leads that are worth spending your time on. So specifically, if you are doing sort of inbound marketing campaigns, potentially you're working with a list of leads that you've never spoken to before, so cold leads, and you want to figure out who do you want to prioritize speaking to first, or who do you want your sales team to speak to first. That is essentially lead qualification. So let's talk about how we can actually use HubSpot to qualify these leads. Okay, so this is a lead scoring template that I've put together. It can apply for both B2B and B2C businesses. So I'll explain how this all works. If any of you are finding this valuable and you do want a template, I can create a template and share it in the links below. But just let me know and then I can share that. But this is just a template, so just keep in mind yours may look completely different, but it's a good place to start, I think. So what we've got currently are two scoring types, two scoring setups. So one is for contact records in HubSpot, and another one is for company records in HubSpot. So if you're a B2C business, you probably don't need a company one, and you can just work straight on the the contact record scoring. These will be set up in a specific HubSpot property, which I will show you in the HubSpot setup as well. But I usually recommend setting your scoring up on a spreadsheet first and then transferring that into HubSpot, because in HubSpot, when you start adding the scoring, it does get quite long and very hard to navigate when there's lots of criteria in there. So it's good to refer back to kind of a source of truth spreadsheet, especially if you're sharing this with a team. It's a lot easier for your entire team to reference. Okay, so the way this works is for any criteria you set up, you want to give it a score and you want to set up the criteria. So as an example, let's say I want to give a score of 2 for anyone who has submitted one form, right? And let's say they viewed more than 2 pages, and you can do it really specifically as well. You can say if they've submitted less than 2 forms, give this score. If they've submitted 3 to 5 forms, give this score. So you can break it down in more detail if you need, but this is just a template, like I've said. So you can actually just expand that into more cells. So for now, let's say 1 page view gets 2 points. If the total number of marketing emails I've clicked 1, give it another, let's say 4 points. Ignore this company fit one, I'll get back to this, but this is a B2B option for you. Unsubscribe from email. So this is probably a negative score. So you can actually assign negative scores as well. I'm going to give a -5 for anyone that has unsubscribed, and we don't really need a bracket value in here because it's just one simple action, whereas these ones you can give like number variations between them. Job title. So the job title one is interesting. So I believe the job title property in HubSpot is an open text field. So what this means is you do need to be quite specific with your requirements. So for example, if someone's job title says HR and someone else's job title says human resources, you do need to include both those values, because HubSpot won't recognize them as the same thing at the moment. Obviously, we hope that will improve over time, but you do have to be very specific with the job title. So if you just want to be safe, you can say something like contains any of HR, contains any of human resources, something like that, and then you can give relevant points. So once again, you can break this down into different categories. You can break it down by seniority as well. So if you want to give points for C-suite, managers, anything like that, you can do that. And then email contains. So I have this for B2B as well. It's really for blocking out personal email addresses. So if someone's got like an @gmail.com account, I can get rid of that and just give them -5 points again, because I don't want them. They're not a B2B lead. Now, in the box down here, we've got some in need of nurture, engaged leads, and cures next and max score. So this really helps me to understand what I consider a lead that is in need of nurture, a lead that is engaged, a lead that is an MQL, and the maximum score they could possibly get. So right now, based on my scoring here, which is very, very little, I've got a maximum of 8 points. MQLs haven't decided yet, but let's pretend it's 4. Engaged leads, if they've engaged with anything, maybe I'll consider them as and engaged leads, and then let's go to 2, and then a need of nurture would be 0, based on my scoring here. All right, let's move on to the company scoring. So B2B specific. If you're not B2B, you can skip this part. But in terms of company records, the good thing about HubSpot is HubSpot does try to use their HubSpot Insight tools to automatically pull information about company records. So they try to already collect for you information like a company industry, a region, number of employees, annual revenue, description, LinkedIn URLs, things like that. So you can actually use this information straight away to score the quality of a company depending on your ICP. So if you're working with businesses that have, let's say, a number of employees above 50, you can give that a really good score. So one of the ways that I do like to score companies are based on good and great fit, or poor fit. So if they're poor fit, they have no points. So that's why it's not in here. But if they're a really good fit, I can give them 20 points. And then eventually, if they have, let's say, a great fit of industry and region, but nothing else, they would get 40, and I consider that a good fit lit. So that's why I have this threshold here. Now, based on this threshold, you can set up a workflow in HubSpot to identify a company as a great fit. Actually, these are mixed up, so let me just switch these around. And just going back to the context scoring, I can say if the associated company is a great fit, I want to give them 10 points. And then that would increase all these scores as well. But you get the idea. So the associated company of the contact obviously matters for B2B. And this is how you can think about combining both information together without making it too complicated. You just split them up. Once you're happy with this setup, then you can move on to the workflow setup. But before that, I will show you how to set the scoring up in HubSpot, and then we can move on to workflows. So I'll see you there. I just realized I haven't been recording with my headphones, so the sound might be quite bad, so apologies for that. I'll do a better one next time. But anyway, in this section, we're going to be talking about how to set up the scoring in that spreadsheet in HubSpot. So I'm going to move my face away. But where you can find the scoring setup is through settings in the top right corner. And then on the left side, go to properties under data management. Now, by default, I'm in a task account. So by default, the contact property has a scoring property called HubSpot Score. So this is the one where you can set up your positive and negative scores. So for example, just going back to my sheets, it said number of form submissions is 1, I give it a score of 2. So I'm going to go to the positive section and say I'm going to use a contact property, and it's something you'll get used to over time, but in this case, if the number of form submissions is equal to 1, I'm going to give it a score of 2 and set that and save. Let's open that up again. You don't have to save it if you're continuing to build it, but it looks like I didn't save it. So let me do it again. So a score of 2, set, and then form is equal to 1. Then click apply filter first. I always forget to do this, but click apply filter, otherwise it will not save. And then you just keep building. So new criteria for every single. So you can see, as I said earlier, the boxes here are quite long for some reason. They don't really need to be. It would be nice if they just collapsed to whatever size was needed. But currently this is the way it looks. So I'd recommend having it all on a spreadsheet first and then transferring those points into HubSpot. So I'm going to just save one as an example. Now on the company scoring, if you're a B2B business, HubSpot doesn't have a scoring default standard property for that yet. So you will need to create a company information, company score, like custom property for yourself. So if I went to the company properties, create new property, and then I've called it company score, but you can call it whatever you want. And then under field type, make sure you select score. Then build score. You can see the setup, it's exactly the same. And I can say, let's say if the industry is any of, and with industry properties specifically, HubSpot does have a list that comes with, so you have to make sure that it stays with this list, especially if you want to make use of the HubSpot Insights kind of data enrichment feature. So I'm going to use accounting as an example. Remember to hit apply filter as well, and then create, and that's it. So that's your scoring setup. So how this looks like in HubSpot is, I don't have any context at the moment, but in your context view, so I'm on context and context, you can edit these columns here and say, right, I want to surface the HubSpot score property here. And you can see it's updated my table. So if anyone has had a score according to the criteria set up, you will see this here. And you can also use this in your workflows. So I will show you how to do that in your workflows tool now. Keep in mind that workflows are only accessible to anyone with a Pro Hub license and above, so marketing or sales. So if you don't have that, you won't have access to workflows, but you can still take advantage of the scoring property here. So I'll see you in the next one. Okay, before going over to the workflows tool, it's good to have a look at your current scoring metric just to understand what you consider a qualified lead. As an example, if I, let's say, am working as a marketer and I'm trying to capture leads that might be interested in my services, one of the key indicators of whether or not they're a qualified lead is maybe they viewed a very specific page on my website. So maybe they looked at my pricing page or my services page. Maybe they interacted really well on one of my offer emails and spent a bit of time on, other website pages. So all of those things, you want to be able to score them in your metric. And then based on the scoring criteria, you want to kind of put together an addition of all those points combined to decide what your qualifying number is. So for example, in this case, I've said that if they're an MQL or a marketing qualified lead, that is a HubSpot score of 4 and above. So just going back to HubSpot, I'm going to set up a workflow now that will basically notify me if any contacts have a score of 4 and above. Right, so just going back into HubSpot here, to get to your workflows, you want to click on automation and workflows. And just close off all these tours. Right, I'm going to go ahead and build a workflow. So like I said, if you don't have a Pro license, you do not have access to workflows for this purpose. So you can just rely on the table view that we looked at earlier. But I'm going to go ahead and go on a contact-based workflow. Blank is fine. And then in this case, it's going to be a very simple workflow. I'm just going to give it a name and say HubSpot score above 4, or let's say 4 and above actually. Cool. I'm going to save that. Now in the trigger, my filter criteria would be the HubSpot score. So it's pretty straightforward. Under the filter category, I'm going to go with contact properties, and then I'm going to search for score, which is basically the same score that was used to, the same property that was used to set up the scoring metric. So I'm going to change that to greater than or equal to 4. So what this means now is any contact that has a HubSpot score greater or equal to 4 will enroll into this workflow. And then I can tell HubSpot what I want it to do if they hit that criteria. So in this case, I want to notify myself. Now, from a B2B perspective, or not B2B, but from any business perspective, if you have the sales team that you want to notify, this is where you can add them in. But for this purpose, I'm just going to do a very straightforward one. So under the actions, I'm going to go to communications. Then I'm going to choose internal email notification because I'm emailing myself. Skip tour again. And then over here is where you can pick who needs to be notified. So in my case, I'm just going to pick myself. But of course, if you've got your team set up, you've got any existing contact owners and you want to notify them, you can do that. I'm just going to say qualified lead in the subject line. And then check this out. Make it nice and simple. Okay, so I'm happy with this now. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. Now, I can go into a lot more detail of how workflows work, but this is probably not the best video for it. If you are interested in a full workflows breakdown tool video, let me know and I can create a separate one. But I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. Okay. And that's all you need to know. So basically what happens is if my prospect goes in HubSpot and they interact with some stuff based on this lead scoring system, so let's say they've clicked on the marketing email, which gives them 4 points straight away, or they maybe submitted a form and then also viewed a page, that gives them 2 + 2 = 4. by hitting those metrics, they would be enrolled in this workflow because they meet this criteria, and I would receive an email letting me know that I've got a new qualified lead. And then it's up to me what I want to do with them. I can give them a call, I can send them an email, whatever I want. So that's pretty much how the lead scoring system can work. So quick recap. Today's video is about how to set up your lead scoring to qualify your leads. These are especially useful for businesses that have lots of incoming leads coming in, smaller teams that maybe can't manage a large quantity of leads, or anyone that basically wants to only prioritize leads that have shown an interest in the business. So to do that, you can score your leads through a HubSpot property called HubSpot Score. I recommend setting that up, your scoring criteria up, through the spreadsheet that I shared with you earlier. And then finally, if you want to automate being notified about these qualified leads, you can set up a workflow to do so. That being said, that concludes this video. It is one of many that I'm hoping to create about HubSpot. So if you do have any questions or any kind of specific topics you'd like me to cover, please let me know. I am more than happy to make a video. And I definitely want to be making them based on what you need as well. So comment down below if you've got any questions. If you like my content and you want to see more, please subscribe. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.